Okay, so when we think about Chinese medicine, there's nothing more Chinese than cupping, right? Well, let me take you on a tiny history of cupping. It turns out the oldest written reference is actually Egyptian, dating to 1550 BCE. There's also mention of it in ancient Greece. Herodotus wrote about it in 400 BCE. There's also a long tradition within Arab culture of cupping known as al-hijama, and it gets a mention in a canon of medicine written in 1025. Scholars also think that Native American medicine may have included cupping. In China, the first written mention, comes actually in the Jin dynasty. And there's some bonus confusion points here because among the major dynasties of China, there are two Jin dynasties. So we're talking about the earlier one. And Ge Hong wrote about cupping. At this time, it was generally with animal horns, which in a way that's still used in some traditional cultures for treating boils, pustules, poisonous bites. And here is the most wonderful photo of a medicine man somewhere in Africa doing some cupping, and a similar drawing, and another amazing photo. And cupping has a long history in Europe as well. It was practiced in European public baths and monasteries up until the 19th century. In the 1830s, the Royal Free Hospital in London employed a professional cupper. And here are some lovely instructions from 1835 telling you that you can keep your cupping equipment either in a case of small dimensions, or you can disperse them into the various pockets of the operator. Charles Kennedy, here he is in 1826, saying that basically cupping, the benefits of cupping are so well known and so well established that you don't even need to talk about them. And here are some amazing, relatively modern photos from what's described as a peasant spa in Yugoslavia of a whole series of patients receiving cupping. Heading back to China and heading forward in time to the Qing dynasty, there's a description from that era about fire jar qi cupping, something more similar to what we would recognize today. So using a flame to create some suction, using different types of cups and cupping with cups made from bamboo and wood and glass. And this is a very beautiful glass cupping cup from the Roman era. I could kind of look at this picture all day long. There's something very entrancing about it to me. But it kind of made me wonder about the question of why glass wasn't more further developed in China, because obviously they had amazing technological achievements, but they never did develop glass to the point of windows or microscopes or lenses. And notwithstanding that glass was made in China 2,000 years ago. So what's the reason for that? And it turns out it's because the lead barium glass made in ancient China was brittle with temperature changes, unlike the soda lime glass that was made in the West. And so it wasn't very suitable for tea. And meanwhile, China's ceramics technologies were so advanced that they never did progress their glass technology in the same way. But the point at which cupping became so strongly identified as a Chinese therapy is the People's Republic of China. So the second half of the 20th century, the relatively modern era, when the Chinese government swung behind traditional Chinese medicine in this most fantastic way. And so the 1950s saw Chinese and Russian practitioners start doing a lot of research into cupping, and along with other traditional Chinese modalities like acupuncture and herbalism, all of these things were integrated together alongside Western medicine in Chinese hospitals. And ever since then, cupping and these other modalities have been widely taught in China, and it's why it's become to seem such a archetypally Chinese modality. And it forms the most beautiful integral part of the toolkit of modern acupuncturists and practitioners of Chinese medicine. So I hope you've enjoyed this tiny history of cupping. There was lots here that came as a great surprise to me. This is all kind of overflow material from a course that I've written, an online course on the history of acupuncture, a nice clear overview. I saw these images and I read this information, and I didn't have a good spot for all of this information in my online course, but I was so excited about it. I wanted to share them. I wanted to share the excitement. So here you are, a little tiny history of cupping. But my History of Acupuncture online course, it takes us on an amazing journey through the places, times, influences, classic texts, language, modalities, and all the styles of acupuncture available now to patients around the world. If you'd like to learn more about all of our rich heritage in acupuncture, then head on over to inlovewithacupuncture.com and get started.